Right, what's going on, guys? And welcome to another episode of Living Room Fight Club. As always, I'm here with my boy Scott. And on today's episode, we are discussing, the weekend just gone of epic proportions, especially the Jon Jones fight. So, just a quick question off the cuff for you, my man. What were your thoughts on that? How's the fight?
The fight itself, it was great as long as it lasted. You know, Jones went out there and done such a Jon Jones thing and just absolutely dominated. You know, he took one shot, which was a stroke to the balls. You know, and from there he just absolutely dominated, took him down, and from there it was just history. For the UK fans, it's a bit savage because we stay up all night and we get 2 minutes of fighting. However, you know, that's what we put ourselves in for. That's the game. It was such a nice thing to see as Jon Jones is cement his legacy. He was already the GOAT in my opinion, but today it was just cemented further. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Such a great experience. What did you think?
Oh, absolutely loved it. It's been quite nice to see him after 3 years of not being in a UFC game. Seeing him back, seeing him a bit different, seeing him, he was looking different as well. Obviously, he bulked up quite a bit, which was again a good thing, because he seemed like he obviously was taking care of himself. It was amazing to watch. Like, I enjoyed it. A shame I was only like 2 and a bit minutes. Again, 3 a.m. call out, mate, to watch it. Yeah, for all of us savage enthusiasts of UFC. It was a bit too short, but the future is bright for the guy. I feel like after this fight, he is onto something. I think he's going to start, getting some fights in. Obviously, he did call out someone, did he? Do you remember who it was who he called out?
Yes, he called out Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight champion. He is. Some people regard him as the best heavyweight ever, as he has the most defenses in the UFC. So he's got the credentials there.
Yeah, so that if that was to be obviously set up as one of the fights, that'll be quite interesting, I think. To see them both get it on in the ring, just beat each other up. But I think Jon Jones, I think he's back better than ever. You can see he was focused. He knew what he was doing. He was, his shots are quite powerful, like kicks and things like that. Obviously, his finishing as well. I certainly enjoyed that. Again. It's a shame that it could have gone for a few more rounds, but I think he literally just got on and he wanted to show what people were missing, get the job done and go kind of thing. I do love his commentary after as well. Like when Joe Rogan was interviewing him, it was just absolute just pleasure to hear the guy again, to see him, to see his smiley face, because the guy is actually quite a good person, overall. Like he's not really one of those sort of cocky little fighters that he's out there showing off and all that. He's actually quite a good dude, so again, good to see him, and then let's see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he's a good dude now. He's changed up the script. He obviously used to have a pretty rough past. He would chat a lot of shit, but nowadays he's, especially since this move to heavyweight, it's a new Jon Jones for me in the UFC embedded. Leading up to this weekend's fight, they follow him around and you show him week to week. And for me, he had a massive demeanor change, and it was very refreshing to see. It was like a fully focused Jon Jones. There was no half-arse in it. He was just fully dedicated, and it showed during the fight. Like, he absolutely dominated. I thought this fight would have gone into the 3rd and 4th round. I thought Cyril would have, brought a bit more, not slating him whatsoever. He is, a great heavyweight, but last night showed the clear picture, and that is Jon Jones is the best fighter there has ever been. I truly believe that. I don't, fight-wise, you put Jon Jones up against any man alive, I'll take him to win.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And he doesn't make mistakes often in a cage, does he? He's quite cold. He's calculated. When he's in fights, he rarely shows any emotion, which again, it's a good thing, right? And he obviously methodically picks his opponents apart, right? That's his key thing. Again, I think he's still got his old coach, Greg Jackson. Obviously, he does deserve a lot of credit for him. For training up and preparing Jones for the fight. yeah, overall, man, like I don't know what's on the cards, but like, have you heard anything? What they're planning on doing? What's he planning to do? Like, when is the next fight? Or
Well, he called out Stipe straight after the fight. To me, that is not a fight I want to be watching. I do not care. You know, Stipe's last fight, if I remember correctly, pretty sure I do, he got knocked the fuck out by Ngannou, and then he sat out since, and now he's gifted a title shot against Jon Jones. Not sure how that works. Either way, I don't want to see it. I think, you know, I think he's 40 now, so that's sort of, you know, retirement's knocking on the door. Yeah, but I would say so. Obviously, power is the last thing to go. That's why heavyweights stick around for longer. But, you know, that fight makes no sense to me. I think Jon Jones walks all over him. I don't think it'll be a close fight at all. I think a bigger threat would be, you know, Curtis Blades is probably a bigger threat. Tom Aspinall, maybe.
Yeah.
People that bring something different. I don't know what Stipe brings that Jon Jones wouldn't be able to deal with. So, yeah, that fight I've got no interest in. I think Jon Jones will walk all over him. With that said, I believe that he said he wanted to come back in July for International Fight Week. As he's relatively unscathed, other than a groin shot, he's, you know, I don't see why that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried, obviously, that with the current situation of the fighting, even if it's for boxing or UFC, they don't turn this into just like a cash cow. You know, if they're gonna really just make the fight for him to get his paycheck up, like I know we discussed that on previous podcasts. I hope it doesn't really go that way. You know, like let's make not this sort of like glorious, like I would say, like very commercialized fights, if you know what I mean, just for the sake of it, for the money, right? We do again as fans want to enjoy some good fighting, right? So I think picking his next opponent is going to be quite crucial, like in terms of you've took him on. Let's see where he goes. But international fights, yeah, possibly. Again, like you said, he didn't sustain any sort of major damage or anything like that. So in terms of like recovery and prepping for another fight, I think he's got a good chance, obviously, to be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's just choosing the next opponent. But it's going to be interesting. Again, it's one of those fighters that I enjoy watching from back in the day when he was in a different weight division. When he was in a different class, when he was fighting, he was quite good. Again, skillful fighter. Yeah, like I said before, like what the future holds. I'm hoping it's going to be bigger than ever. And it's not just going to be so commercialized with some crappy fights going on. Because that's not going to be good.
Yeah. Now I think from what I'm seeing with Jon Jones now, he's definitely there to build a legacy. I think he's made his money. He's all happy. Obviously, more money he's going to be happy for. But I think what I'm looking at right now, he is here now, cementing himself as the greatest of all time. And to me, that's already happened. But from what I'm seeing, his mindset has changed completely. He's here, for a bit longer, and he's going to be cementing that legacy. So, yeah, I think you'll see. I don't think Stipe is the right fight, but you will see more fights that make a bit more sense afterwards, like Curtis Blades, Sergey Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall, when they start getting a few, like one more win each, then you can start talking about it. I don't think Stipe deserves it. I'm not going to lie, but, he has done well. He's still about, so I guess you give him the shot, see where he's at, and then go from there.
Yeah, I suppose with his age now, like I know we said that before again on other podcasts, like he's 35, right? So he's got a few more years, I suppose, if he keeps on doing what he's doing, training hard, and wanting to stay fit and stay motivated. I think he's got next few good years of fighting. But let's not forget that he became a light heavyweight champion in 2011 as a 23-year-old. So he is quite ambitious. I can see that. Again, with fighting in a different weight class now, I think is going to bring maybe more out of him as well. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I see that in the like I said, the UFC embedded. I see something different in him. Obviously, it brings on a whole new challenge. He's going to have to fight in a very different way. He said after the fight that he felt a bit goofy in the stand-up. Obviously, it's been a while, which is fair enough. His body is going to feel completely different. He's not going to be able to throw the shots that he's used to throwing. He looked okay. That's the thing. The fight was on the feet for all of 20 seconds. So I think he landed 2 right crosses on him, which again looked pretty nice. From what we could see, his striking looked fine. But obviously, the fight was majority on the floor. But yeah, heavyweight brings some more threats like Curtis Blades, the wrestling. That's going to be very interesting because I assume Jones is going to be forced to stand in that scenario. Or, well, I'm not doubting Jones. He could probably bloody submit Curtis Blades, who knows? But anyway, the wrestling will be fun. But yeah, I think he had his time at light heavyweight, like you say, came in and became the champion at 23 years old, which is insane. Yep. He's still fighting to this day. He's beaten everybody in his path. I know his record says 24 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. That is both bullshit. He has won every single fight he has ever been in. So yeah, he's on to massive. He's already the GOAT, but yeah, he's at heavyweight. It brings another challenge that he's willing to test himself for, and again, just further cement the legacy.
Oh yeah, 100%. And again, I am totally agreeing with you with his fighting record. Every single one of them was was definitely a win. But let's not forget that back in 2015, unfortunately, due to him being a bit naughty, he was stripped out of obviously his title. He was 29 at the time. They took it obviously from him because he got arrested on a hit and run charge as well, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that went quite big at the time. So I believe the story was he hit a pregnant lady. Obviously, he didn't know she was pregnant at the time, so I shouldn't say it like that. But he hit a lady in the car, and then apparently rumors that he ran back to the car, grabbed some cocaine and money, and then ran off. Obviously, that could be just rumors, but yeah, it turns out the lady was pregnant. I'm not too sure how serious that became. But I don't think anything was too serious. But yeah, that is apparently the rumor. But yeah, that did happen. He also tested positive, but it was for like a very minuscule amount of steroids at a time, but it's from an injury, all this sort of thing. Yeah, he's had a bit of trouble in the past, but from what I can see, I would say that time is now over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he has learned from his mistakes, like we all humans do, right? It's just
definitely.
If you fuck up, then you learn your lesson. And I think he's done exactly the same. And I think he's trying to make a positive impact. If it's in his life, he's got a fiance now. He really loves it. You could see it yesterday as well. He's quite there with her and stuff. Like he enjoyed her being there. Like you can see that the guy has changed quite a bit since making all these fuck ups. Again, amazing to see. I just hope he's going to be using that positivity and everything else that he does, like a lot of things maybe he can start be doing on the side, just to help people and stuff like that. It'll be amazing to see one fighter, that will aim to make things better for everyone else. But yeah, again, overall, fantastic fighter. And I do look forward to seeing him in more fights, essentially. Right. Moving on to the UFC weekend, I think. Do you want to discuss some of the other fights that you have seen? Because I unfortunately haven't had a chance to see them because I went to sleep. But any other interesting that has happened? Or
yeah, definitely. Shevchenko lost the belt. Massive upset. I had to eat a massive slice of humble pie. I thought Shevchenko was going to go out there and dominate. The reason I think that is because, I thought that was because I didn't see what Grasso brought that Shevchenko hasn't dealt with before. Obviously, that's not how MMA works. But to me, that was my thinking. But fair play to Alex Grasso. She went out there, she put it on the champ, and the submission victory that she got was massive for her. I'm so happy for her. But yeah, I had to eat a massive slice of humble pie on that one because I was, I really did think Shevchenko was going to dominate, but Grasso really did, change it up. So fair play to that. The choke she got her in was insanely tight. It wasn't under the chin. It was like almost over her mouth, like on the chin.
Yeah.
And in the replay, she was squeezing so hard. When the choke let up, when the referee stopped it, you could see the top part of her head was purple, and where Grasso's arm was around her mouth and squeezing was white. You could see how much pressure she was putting into that, but yeah, the fact it wasn't even under the neck, under the chin, it was just over her face, and she was squeezing that hard. Yeah, fair play. I can see why Shevchenko tapped out. It was a beautiful performance by Grasso. She really did well.
Yeah. So in terms of like Grasso, do you think that she's got a massive potential to go forward in the next fight and actually win some titles?
I'm not doubting her again. Put it that way. I doubted her on this fight, and she shut me right up. So I'm not doubting that lady again. I think there's some interesting matchups for her definitely in the next coming up fights. Shevchenko requested that she should like a immediate rematch, as she has been a dominant champion for a while, which is usually the case. It'll be interesting to see. Personally, I would quite like to see Shevchenko sit out for a while, take some well-deserved rest, and then come back. But yeah, I think she's probably going to want to stay active, get back in there and try and win her belt back. But in terms of Grasso, what's next for her? Yeah, I see some compelling matchups. So it would be interesting. But yeah, I'm not doubting that lady anymore.
Wow, I look forward to start watching, seeing her fight. But yeah, from what you said, my God, it must have been one hell of a fight.
Oh, mate, it was insane. Before that, you had Shavkat Rakhmonov versus what's his name? Jeff Neal, sorry. That was insane fight. It doesn't get a better fight than that. It was just it was really back and forth. Shavkat Rakhmonov has one of the maddest chins I've ever seen in my life. Jeff Neal was hitting him with huge shots that would usually knock pretty much anybody unconscious. They were massive. And he took them and carried on pushing forward. Jeff Neal showed how good his takedown defense is.
Yeah.
Stuffing, the majority of them. But yeah, they both showed how good they are. But Shavkat, obviously got the submission in the end. But it was a back and forth fight. He showed how much dog he has in him by taking, some of the biggest shots I've ever seen and just pushing through and, being a warrior that he is. He's on to massive, massive things. But yeah, fight of the night that was, and rightfully so. Back and forth. They were both getting rocked. Both got dropped, I believe. Oh, mate, it was insane, that one. So fair play to both fighters there. Well-deserved fight of the night. Yeah, Shavkat's got some big things in front of him. Some big things, big fights. You probably got him versus Colby Covington, him versus Khamzat Chimaev, him versus, Gilbert Burns. You've got so many people now where he is now in the mix. So the welterweight division has just opened up for him, and that's going to be sick to see.
All right. Interesting. Right. What were your thoughts on the Gamrot fight as well and Turner? Because obviously Gamrot won. The Pole has obviously took the lead, didn't he, in the third round decision? I know it was a split, but what were your thoughts on that?
Again, close fight. On the Living Room Fight Club Instagram post, I just said it's kind of a toss up. I was favouring towards Gamrot because of his grappling prowess. However, it really was a toss up in my eyes. I could see Jalen getting the upset and landing something big on him because his striking is phenomenal. It was a great fight. It was a close fight. Yeah, I think the timing of Gamrot with his takedowns would just manage to edge out because his grappling was obviously where he was going to succeed in the fight, and how well his timing of the takedowns were when Jalen was coming in for strikes. It was beautiful to watch. So yeah, fair play for him to get into control time, but Jalen Turner is a savage too. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be knocking some people out in the top 10. So fair play to both fighters. Again, great fight, but Gamrot did what he needed to do. It wasn't the most prettiest, I'm not going to lie, but it was effective. Fair play to him.
Yeah, I think both of those obviously fighters. Yeah, there's a lot of good fights ahead for the both of them. A lot. They're both very skillful, like you said. And yeah, I've watched some of the highlights for him, and actually, it wasn't one of the most spectacular fights we've ever seen before. But he did what he had to do, right? Come in, get it done. And obviously, I know it was a decision split and stuff, but at the end of the day, it was a fight, and he won it. So fair play to the dude,
Yeah, definitely, can't argue with it. It was, like I said, it was close enough, but in my eyes, Gamrot was, sort of 2-1, so it is what it is. Obviously, the fight before that, you had Bo Nickel making his UFC debut. Obviously, he fought in Dana White's Contender Series. Same with Jamie Pickett, the guy he fought. He also was in Dana White Contender Series, but he had fought, I think, once or twice in UFC. Bo Nickel looked fantastic. Obviously, going into the fight, most people are aware of his wrestling prowess. Absolute savage on the wrestling mat. So that was the thing to look out for, and that is what we saw. He had Jamie Pickett in a world of trouble up against the fence in the clinch. Excuse me. And then apparent knee to the balls. Didn't see it, but it did look like it in the replay. And it is what it is. You can't take away the guy's win because of that. But anyway, knee to the balls, trips him. Gets on him, grinds on him, is in full mount, trying to work for these chokes, and eventually, obviously, gets it done. But yeah, most people thought he was going to dominate that fight, and to be fair, he did dominate. So big things in front of Bo Nickel. He's got a lot of hype. Not many people can make a UFC debut on a pay-per-view card, especially on the main card. That very rarely happens. So fair play to him on that. But yet he is untested against high-caliber opponents. So let's not push him in there too quickly. But I will say the future looks very bright for him.
So much to look forward to in the UFC fighting. Love it. Right. What are your thoughts on? Well, I will probably say this about the Roadhouse remakes. Obviously, I know we've seen Mr. Conor McGregor before the weigh-in. Obviously, for the fighters, you had Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal out there with a massive slap as well at the weigh-in. That was quite again controversial to see, but anything to be done for the film. What are your thoughts on that as well? See Mr. McGregor finally, you being out there and cheering up. I was quite exciting for me to see him again and obviously, speak to everyone. I really enjoyed it actually. Again, he's preparing, isn't he? He's getting ready for his tough challenge that he's got ahead. But yeah, it was good to see him. It was exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely wasn't expecting it. When we saw him in the weigh-ins, I was so confused as to what was going on. But yeah, it was nice to see, especially when they filmed it in the Octagon. Obviously, you don't see that during the pay-per-view, but you see it on Instagram and stuff afterwards of them filming and stuff. What a cool idea! Never really thought of that, but yeah, that was very, very different to see. Never thought I'd see something like that before, but yeah, I like it. I'm all for MMA getting more exposure, and this is doing so. So yeah, I'm all in, mate. I'm all in.
Yeah, I think Mr. Dana White is he knows what he's doing, like promoting a film, getting McGregor out there, getting the fights in, getting Jones back in the game. You've got McGregor coming up. There's a lot of good things happening, and I think the whole business emphasis on the whole, UFC as a whole. Yeah, I think it's got a lot more to come. Obviously, we've seen a lot of Prime adverts as well, as we recall from the other podcast that we've done. That has been just literally sticking up absolutely everywhere, but that's just one of those things as it goes in business. But again, just going back to the Roadhouse film, the remake that they moved out, quite exciting actually to see it, because it's a remake from the 1989 film. I think Mr. Patrick Swayze used to be in it. So again, it will be nice to see Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal play Dalton. So yeah, I'm excited to actually see that. And yeah, the whole thing, and during the break, seeing like them quickly fight, that was quite cool.
Yeah, I'd never actually seen the film, so I'd have to look into it. But yeah, like I say, it's cool to see, man. I never thought I'd see a movie being shot whilst the UFC is going, and doing like doing the press conferences and stuff. Yeah, didn't think I'd ever see it, but like I said, I'm all for MMA getting more exposure.
And also, Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal, holy shit, for the age of 42, he looks fucking ripped in that ring.
He looks shredded. He looked fucking shredded. Fair play to that. Some actors can really get into their roles. Christian Bale has done some mad things in the past when they just deplete their bodies or go crazy in the gym for these roles. It's bloody crazy, isn't it?
I know, and how quickly they can obviously change, like for the roles and things like that. It's quite impressive, isn't it? Like the only trouble is they never give those secrets out to us normal people here. That obviously we can get ourselves shredded really quickly, but nonetheless, we hit that gym daily.
That's TRT for you, I reckon. That's some steroids.
Right, better eBay that shit now. Right, guys, so that is it for this week's episode. Obviously, guys, give us a follow on all the socials. So we're on Instagram at Living Room Fight Club. Obviously, give me a follow, DMJ _777 and Scotty Fountain on Insta. But yeah, nonetheless, guys, we will see you on the next one. Take care.